Get Better at Getting Better by Chandramouli Venkatesan. This is the second book by Mouli. First one was Catalyst, which I have done a review on. This is an excellent book, especially if you are in your mid stage in your career and if you feel that your career is stagnated, or if you feel that you're not as successful as you would have wished for yourself. Take a look at this two modes of transportation. One is a bullock cart on the right, and then one is a Ferrari on the left of the video. Which one do you think will reach 10 kilometers faster or 10 miles faster? Obviously, the Ferrari will reach faster. You might wonder why. It's because the efficiency of the Ferrari is much better than the bullock cart. Similarly, an axe that is sharper can cut more wood in 1 hour than a blunt axe can cut in a full day. This was the opening line of this book, which I loved, so I took it. This is so true. If we are not focused on improving on our tools, but using old tools, or if we are using old techniques, then we may not be as efficient as possible. We may not be getting better as fast as we could. So these two examples of using a higher efficiency vehicle or getting better at sharpening our axe or improving our tools and techniques is an important thing to remember throughout the theme of this book, which will help us understand why getting better is important, because if we have a sharper axe, we can cut more. Another insight was producing results is your ticket to continue in your current role. Having the ability to produce better future results or being able to grow as a leader is what gets you to the next role. This is so critical. What skills got you here will not be the skills that will get you to the next level. At young age, we get better much faster. We learn a new language faster. We learn a new sport faster. We are not hesitating at all to fail. And so we get a lot of feedback from doing multiple experiments in the young age faster, and so we learn faster. So starting early definitely has a huge advantage to any success. But success overall can be broken down into two things: effort, the amount of hard work you put in, multiplied by efficiency, or efficiency in this case is the get better model. How better are you improving your tools and techniques, your ability to understand the situation, your own internal mental models? How better are you getting every day of your career? Let's take a look. A chef cooking on a day-to-day basis versus you and me cooking. The chef's going to get better much faster. Why? Because his efficiency is faster, is much better. He's getting input and feedback from the customers. He's deliberately improving. So deliberately having a strategy to get better is the key insight I took out of this book. You will not just get better by putting on hard work. Just hard work will not get you to be better. You need a deliberate strategy into getting better. Remember, results of your work belong to the company, but getting better model or getting better as a person belongs with you permanently. So it's important that all of the skills that you built in your school or your career that you're using for your current company to get results, it's important to get those results, but it's also equally important to sharpen your tools. It's equally important to improve your efficiency. Otherwise, you will be like that axe that is old, cannot cut much more efficiently as the new axe is graduating from college today. Another example, 2 times 2, 4, 12 times 10, 120. 780 times 117. I don't know the answer. Well, what I'm trying to highlight here is that a lot of times in our education, we focus on the answers here as to what is 2 times 2, what is 12 times 10. Sometimes sometimes in our education, we lose the importance of multiplication. Like typically what we should be learning here is how to multiply. If we learn how to multiply, then we can get to the answer. So that's the key insight number 2. Get to the method. Don't stop at knowing the answer. Get to the method of finding the answer. Constantly build your core capabilities. If you're not building your internal methods, internal tool sets, and improving, you're stagnating. You're not getting better. And so it's very critical to get to the method in everyday, everything that you do. Get to building your core capabilities. And there are 4 or 5 big categories of those core capabilities. It's the people skills, relationships, how you work with people, your emotional aspects, analytical skills, how can you deal with numbers, creative, imaginative skills, how you can conceptualize new ideas, how are you organized, planned, and putting in hard work, which is hygiene across all of these. So you need to improve your core capabilities and constantly improve towards getting to that method, getting to how to get to that answer. So how do we get better? So let's get to it. There are 5 key things highlighted in the book. Getting better by yourself with your daily work every day, because you're not going to get those 20 years of education back on a continuous basis after you start working. All you can do is work really hard, but at the same time, figure out how do you get better in your daily work. Second, leveraging others, especially your boss, who's like a full-time person that you have hired to get you better, and books and trainings and whole other techniques to use others' resources. Making your team better or making your ecosystem of partners better is the third big important thing you need to realize that contributes in a big way to your success. Fourth, applying the getting better models to your day-to-day work, which is in your meetings, educating your people, and a whole host of other things. And then having a constant regime, a deliberate regime of getting better action plan. So you need to have a get better action plan and get better and evaluate if you're getting better. So those are the 5 key areas highlighted in the book. Getting better by yourself, well, that's the most important, the highest priority one, because we're working almost 9 to 12 hours a day. We have every day, most of our work week focused on work. So we may not be able to take like many weeks or many months, forget many years out of our work life to get better or retrain our skill sets. So the time that we have at work is the most critical time to get better. Every meeting that you go to, every work that you take up, get to the root of it. Get to finding the method. Get to how certain things work. Understand how the business works. Understand how engineering operations run. And understand and go deep. Understand and build your better capabilities at your work. Don't just get to the answer. Get to the method. Get to building your core capabilities at work incrementally every day. That's the most important thing. So on-job training is what I have highlighted in this by getting better yourself. Use your work tasks to get better. Change your mindset. This is the most critical thing. From just producing results, which is what I tended to do a lot until I read the book, to not just producing the results, which is majority of your work, but also getting better on a daily basis. I'd separated getting better with producing results as 2 separate things, but they need to be combined, especially if you're working full-time. Review and reflect on a daily basis. Every meeting that you did today, how was it? Did you actually learn? Did you get better from the time that you spent? Review and reflect. And the way you do that is by asking specific questions. With reviewing, you can say and ask yourself this question: what could I have done to get better outcome in that time I spent doing this meeting or doing this task? So that's the review. It's the what part, as to what could I have done better. And then the second is the reflection part. Why did I not arrive at the best outcome in the first itself? Like, what are the core capabilities that are missing? Like, why did I jump to certain hypothesis, or why did I not think? So review and reflect on a daily basis. That's the most important piece that you need to do on a daily basis as you work on getting better by yourself. So as I said, I had separated getting better as a separate task from day-to-day work. That time may never come. And so it's very important to invest in yourself 5-10% of your day or a weekend or some way that works for you. And it's important to not just stop at knowing the answer, but finding the answer. For example, if someone asks you, what is that metric for your business that measures customer satisfaction? And let's say you know the answer. and the number of that answer. But if you don't know how to find that answer, then all of a sudden you're dependent on someone, you're dependent on something to get to the answer. But if you know how to find the answer, you are better off and you can do that anytime. So daily reflection is the key thing, and daily learnings need to be documented for you to review and reflect. The other key thing was, as an individual contributor, I was great at getting work done. I had an amazing boss, and so he had all the answers. I didn't have to ask, how did he get to those answers? But very soon I realized that when I became a manager and now into a senior manager, that there was no one to give me the answers. I had to give and find the answers for my team. So it was a big shift from implementing the answers to coming up with the answers. And so if I had asked when I was in my senior individual role, individual capacity role to my manager, like how did he get to those answers? What are the strategies of learning for him, etc.? Then I would have been better at finding the answers myself. But as you become a senior leader, it's become more and more critical for you to know how to find the answer. Otherwise, you will feel that your career is stagnating. If you don't know how to find the answer, and if the answer has remained the same for a long time, then it's possible that you have stopped getting better and started stagnating. So routine work may give this feeling. So the key skill to develop also on a day-to-day basis is strategic thinking, big picture view, or pilot's view. It's all the same things. This answers two key things. Am I driving the right bus? Am I in the right team? Am I doing the right thing for the company? Is this important, critical? And am I driving in the right direction? Am I getting results that the company needs to be successful? Am I able to connect the dots as to what my work or my team's work ties into the bigger vision or the mission of the company? Can I think strategically when it comes to spotting competitive landscape opportunities, spotting issues in the team, and actually making action, and how that action relates to the bigger picture goals. So strategic thinking on a day-to-day basis is something you can develop very much by doing the work, by asking the right set of questions. Especially if you have a all hands meeting or a company meeting where you could be a passenger or a spectator, you see your boss presenting. It's a great opportunity for you to learn, pick up all the clues as to what they're saying is important, why certain things they have done, and also ask questions. Ask questions regularly at the company all hands as to how did they come to that conclusion? What was the thought process? Learn, listen by watching your senior leaders is a great way to learn on a day-to-day basis. So that was number one. Number two, getting better by leveraging others. Others could be your boss, who's like, you can think of your boss as someone who has been hired full-time to help you get better. So leverage your boss, build a great contract with your boss to help them help you get better. Other leaders in your team who could be your mentors. Books and training, self-help books and training programs could also be a great way to learn. You can think of your boss as at least someone who is assigned to you for a year long as a coach. And you can learn from them all the skills and techniques. So make your relationship with your boss not transactional to just get the results, but as a coach, as a mentor. You can say things like, in this journey of producing results, as you can hold me accountable, I'm willing to get those results, but I also want you to help me get better to produce future results. And specifically, I want you to make me the best I can be and pass on to me all the skills and knowledge you have acquired in your journey. You can tell this to your boss. It sounds difficult, but if you have a great boss, they'll get it. And every time they come up with an answer, ask them, please explain how you arrived at this answer. What is your thought process, your mental model, how you built the framework to get to this answer? Leverage books, self-help books like this one, Get Better, Getting Better. Great way. I learned so much about certain things that were interesting and how I can improve. So read them faster. Don't take forever to read a self-help book. You need to connect all the chapters, connect the dots, ideally in a week or two, and optimize for mastering those books. Like quality of content is very important than quantity. So get deep, use it, make some changes. Just don't keep reading books after books and have no change in you. That doesn't make any sense. Even if you read one or two books and if you really master it, you've already mastered something that a famous personality who wrote that book has mastered over his lifetime. So that's huge. So leverage books. And as I said, knowing is different than embedding. So make changes that the book recommends, that it resonates with you. Make those changes in you and act. Making your team better has a multiplying effect on your success, but also it improves overall your team morale. So it's pretty critical to build a great team. Hire the best people you have possible, who have a good getting better model, who just don't know the answers, but who have actually learned from their experience, who can apply those experiences into your current company. So hire people who have a get better model. Ask them questions that actually validate that they're actually good at a good model that they have, not just answers. They have the way to find the technique. They can apply those principles. Train your people. Those are the biggest assets you have to get better. Your success depends greatly on your team members' success. And those people who are good will stay with you if they can learn from you. So improve your capabilities, improve your core capabilities, but invest in your people, train your people, have sessions where you can present some of these content like this book or the technical aspects of the work that you do, and get in front of them, train them, get to a better level of skill sets for your people. The other multiplying factor is getting better with your partners and ecosystem that supports you. Apple with App Store has built an ecosystem where hundreds of thousands of developers are building apps that make Apple products better. Think about this. So similarly, also think that not all of your partners will give the same level of service to everyone. So all clients don't get the same level of service. So if you have a high bar and if you set a good level of partnership with your partners, then you will get good service from them. And lead by example of what a great partnership looks like. Invest in your ecosystem, invest in your partners to get them better. The quote that I really like from the book was, the successful companies and individuals in the future will be those who can leverage their ecosystem as a force multiplier and not as vendors and suppliers. Vendors and suppliers feels like, it's not mine, there's lack of ownership. But like for an app developer, it feels like it's their app. But for Apple, it's also contributing Apple's brand. So force multiplier, think about Apple and App Store or Google and Play Store. Really huge examples. Companies need fewer people at the upper half of the pyramid. You can imagine there are maybe hundreds of thousands of first line workers and maybe one CEO. So the pyramid's like this. So you need less and less people at the top. And so there's lack of incentive for big companies generally to invest in improving, get better model for senior leaders, because they only need few, and if there are few who have already figured it out because if they went to a great school or they got an MBA where they actually learned to get better model, then they're fine. They don't need to invest in getting a manager to senior manager director. There are people who can fill that role. And so there's lack of that. So being aware of this and then investing in yourself is critical, especially if you are being stereotyped into not having, let's say, an MBA or something like that. So invest 5 to 10% at least on the long-term success, even if it feels like it's at the expense of the results that you're going to get. This is important for critical long-term success, as we've highlighted, that your ability to get future results is what's going to get you promoted, not your current results. You'll stay where you are. Take on special projects. I know it's going to be hard because you're already producing a lot of results. How do you take on special projects or complex projects that impact the business in a big way and not cause impact to the results? So that's the tricky part that you have to figure out. So the key aspect here is to push yourself away from your comfort zone and for you to exercise building this model of getting better and finding out methods to solve situations that you're not familiar with. So that's the important part of taking these special projects. MBA versus non-MBA, there's always going to be an organizational stereotyping done because the organization has learned over time that those people with an MBA have a get better model generally, and it takes way longer for those who don't. But over time, it doesn't matter whether you have an MBA or not. If you have the skill sets and if you are constantly getting better, if you're learning, and then that's what matters over a long period of time. So invest in yourselves to the way that works for you. regularly. That's the key. And if you're in it for the long term in a company, then the company will be willing to take some educator risk or invest in your getting better model or get you to a higher leadership role because they know you. So it's very difficult at a new company. Let's say you are a leader joining a new company and you want to use get better model. You can spot a lot of things that you need to change as a new leader because your ability to spot is very high because there's no baggage, you didn't make any decisions, everything you have is fresh perspective. But at the same time, your ability to execute change in a new company or a new team is very low because you have lack of relationships, you have lack of domain knowledge, you have a lack of trust built, etc., etc., etc. So it's very critical for you to be very mindful when you make changes in the very early phase of an acquisition or when you join a new team as a new leader. Because there's a difference in gap in spotting versus executing. Once you build that level of execution, that's when you can make slowly changes. But it's equally important to get fresh perspective on a regular basis as a senior leader. Getting better at meetings is the application of getting better model. At meetings, a lot of people don't like meetings because they're first not engaged and they feel it's a waste of time because there's no clear agenda. So it's very important for us to get better at meetings with two specific things. Have a specific agenda as to what results are we looking for, what is this meeting for, and second is how are we going to get better as educating everyone in the team on as to why are we doing what we're doing, why is it important. So people aspect and results aspect both are important for a meeting to cover for them to be successfully and engaged. So clearly state an agenda. Results are the goal at the beginning of the meeting in the invite specifically, and give few days for people to digest. Ensure there's full agenda, that everyone knows what are we working towards. Give silent time for getting full alignment as to what the goal of the meeting is. Seek to understand why, how for every conclusion reached. If you're like, let's say, a spectator, or if you're an employee in the team who doesn't understand, your job at the meeting is to understand. So have that as a goal of the meeting. That makes it easier. Education. Huge role to play for me specifically, where the focus was primarily on by heart. Like if you had things in your memory, if you had the answers, you're the winner. So if you are still facing that, that's no longer going to help you. Memorization or knowing the answers doesn't help because situations change. You need to get out of that habit and start working on improving your getting better model. Get to the method of finding out the answers. Getting the answers or knowing the answers is not helpful anymore. Interviews are a great way to assess if you're getting better. They'll tell you if the questions are very hard, you couldn't answer questions, then it's a good way to say, hey, you need to invest in getting better. So regularly, or maybe once in a few years or so, you should probably interview to just get a sense of where you are. Are you getting better or are you stuck? Typically, a lot of people may be wired for answers, not the method, and I am guilty of that. And so I've greatly benefited from reading this book, even for that one insight as to how it's very important not just look for the answers, but also look for the method, look for the underlying core capability to be built. And your attitude in every situation is the number one factor for getting better. Every situation, no matter if it's just a lift operator job or manning a go down or like any trivial thing, you can get better. It's your vision of finding out what you can learn from that situation. That's the key thing. As a CEO, you keep going up the ladder. So it's very important. You have no one to report to except maybe the board, but you have to get really good at managing the team. That was a key insight. So getting good at managing folks that report to you, your peers, and above you. These are three different aspects of spending your time in a good way. Being rational is the basis. Our internal environment is the basis for all external action. So far in the last 50 slides, we've discussed all kinds of things you can do. Get to the answer, get to the method, etc., etc. You can all do that only if you are emotionally mature, calm, peaceful, happy. How do you do that is a separate conversation. The author did allude that in like maybe half a paragraph. That's a huge pre-requirement and a huge success factor. So practice whatever your daily grounding routine is very important to staying stable. And this is a scorecard for self-awareness that we need to review on a regular basis. What's our default tendency? Is it to answer or getting to the answer or getting to the method? What's our issues look like on a regular basis once we have reflected over, let's say, weeks? Is it the same issues coming up over and over? If that's the case, then you're not getting better. If you have different issues, then you're getting better. You're solving things. If you're fearful of interviews, you're not getting better because you're stuck. You're only good at and comfortable with a certain position. If you're fearful of jumping domains, because now all of a sudden you're not getting better, you just have a narrow understanding, which doesn't help you long term. If the quality of people in your team okay, then maybe you're not getting better because you don't attract those people who are equal, or if not equal to you or better than you, right? So if you don't attract good people, that means it's a proxy of you as a leader. Get better action plan. So how do we take all of this that we have from this book and how do I put it in action? There's a specific chapter on this. So list out all high importance and high time taking tasks, then list them out by higher importance, higher time consuming, high importance, low time consuming, etc. And then pick a few that are very important. Validate those big ideas from the big picture view from your mentor or from your boss. Pick those few items and consciously improve on it. Make a public commitment. Declare the intention you're going to get better. And at the end of it, review this every 3 months. And the basis of all of this is if you get better, then you're going to make things happen and you'll be successful. So being a better human being is probably the next level than being successful at work, which is also something that's in the last few pages of the book. Very interesting. All right, what actions am I going to take? Every situation, every meeting, everything. I'm going to prepare, deliberate, and list out to get better, especially if those situations are important, if those meetings are important. You can't really do this for everything because it's time consuming, but it's very important to have that attitude of getting better in every situation that is critical and important. Ideally on a daily basis, and then have a log. Strike a contract with your boss of not just transactional nature, but also as a coach on how he or she can make you the best version of yourself. Regularly review progress. At the end of the day, write down, review and reflect. What and the how, why. Start of the day, block out some portion of your time to get better. Review every 3 months on the self-awareness scorecard on how you're doing, 0 to 10 each. Give yourself the rating, and move forward. Take a special challenging project if possible. This is a critical thing for you to push yourself outside your comfort zone. And if you can find something that's important for the company and that you like, then that intersection is the best. But it's important to focus on fewer things because otherwise you'll not be able to get results and then you're derailing yourself. Make meetings a successful meeting by clearly making forward progress on the results that need to be achieved, but also improving everyone. Cancel on non-essential meetings. Attend company all hands. Ask better questions. My reflection of getting better for this book, or my critique on what worked. The book is great. I loved it, even for that one insight of going from the answer to the method. That itself was good use of my 6 to 8 hours of reading this book. Highly recommend for all those folks who feel a sense of stagnation in their career. A few things that can be better for this book. I feel picking a complex project or a side project where it's not as easy, especially if you are delivering huge set of results. So some insights and tips, a little bit more on how to navigate that would be essential. Highlighting the importance of emotional stability was something that you did at the very end of the book, but I think it deserves a chapter in itself on how you get better at emotional stability and maturity, which has a huge role to play, I believe, in emotional journey and also in success for building better relationships with people, your own internal stress levels, etc. Importance of mentorship is another area. Boss was mentioned, but mentorship could be a huge area that you could highlight to make this book even better. It was a fantastic book. I sincerely thank you, Mouli, for spending a lot of time reviewing this book. And thanks for this great output. Best of luck for the next one. I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully